Today is Monday, it's midday, and I've got 7 orders going out for a total of 103.88. And here's the crazy thing. I did not sell one single item this weekend. If you're wondering how I have orders going out if I didn't sell anything this weekend, let me tell you. These orders that I have going out came after I packed my orders Friday afternoon, and a few of them came this morning. But over Saturday and Sunday, the whole day, both days, I had 0 orders. It's literally like eBay turned off my orders at midnight Saturday morning and turned them back on midnight Monday morning. So I don't really know what's going on with that, but at least I have some orders going out. One of the orders has multiple items on it, so I've got 3 different items on that particular order, which is pretty rare for me. Sometimes I have people buy multiples of an item, but usually not completely different items. I did not do any sourcing this weekend, although I did try just a little bit Sunday. I had to work Sunday. You know, being self-employed outside of eBay, I do have a lot of leeway with when I could do my work. So I had a commercial job that I need to go do some work at this weekend. And fortunately, literally maybe 2 minutes away, there was an estate sale going on. So I said, well, you know what? I'm going to leave early. I'm going to go by the estate sale, and then I'll go do my work, and then I'll go home, and I'll still have plenty of time to do some listing. Well, let me tell you, I went to that estate sale. No, I drove by that estate sale. I have never once seen this many people at an estate sale. Now, I'm pretty sure I know why it was so packed. I find estate sales on estatesales.net. And I want to say that this estate sale had like over 400 pictures. This was a normal size house. It was not a mansion or anything like that. But the amount of stuff inside this house, and it wasn't junk, it was nice things. But there was so much there that they had to take a lot of pictures of it. So as I was driving towards the estate sale, I started seeing people parked down the road. It was in a subdivision, and they were on both sides of the road. And I'm like, there's no way this is for this estate sale. Well, I kept driving and got closer and closer, and it was for that estate sale. There was a cop out there, and I mean, it's only the second time I've ever seen a cop at an estate sale. I don't know if they were anticipating potential violence at this estate sale or he was out there for traffic control, but he wasn't doing anything when I passed. But I estimate that there were probably around 100 cars at this estate sale. And I'm not throwing that number out there arbitrarily like, oh yeah, there's probably 100 people there. No, there were way more people than cars. But I would bet that there was no less than 90 to 100 cars there. And being that a lot of these cars would have 2 people in them, there was probably 200 people there. I couldn't see if there was a line to get in, but if there were 200 people there, there was no way 200 people were fitting in this house. It was way, way too hot to stand out in line to get in. And I've been to some crowded estate sales before, but I can only imagine how crowded this one was. So nonetheless, I'm like, I am not going to get into this thing here. So I left and I went and did my work, and then I came home and did some listing. But you know, I go to a lot of estate sales, typically 3, 4, 5, 6 estate sales per weekend, and I had never seen anything like this. And it was also the last day of the estate sale. I can't imagine how it was on the previous 2 or 3 days that they were open. The first item that's going out is an Encore NMEA 2000 backbone cable. Now this thing was a thorn in my side for 2 days, and let me tell you why. The order for this came in Friday while I was packing my other orders. So I was going to go grab this one and ship it out with the other items. Well, guess what? The thing that I hate most happened, and I could not find it. So what did I do? Like any good reseller, I looked and looked and looked and looked for it. Now, if I couldn't find it and have to take a ding on my account, you know, it's not going to be that bad, because right now my defect rate, I think there's only 1 on there out of, you know, well over 1,000 transactions. The bigger issue is that I did not want a negative feedback. So Friday afternoon, all the bins here in the back of me, all of the bins in my other room, which has a lot more than this, I went through every bin. Every bin. Couldn't find it. I was very aggravated at that point. So what did I do? I went through every bin a second time. And guess what? I still didn't find it. So I started looking in other places, like the auxiliary shelf here, the black shelf, the shelves in my other room. I couldn't find it. And I'm like, I don't really know what else to do. So I'm like, I'm just gonna wait. Maybe I'll look for it tomorrow. Well, Saturday came along and I was feeling a bit refreshed, not quite so aggravated at that point. And the first thing I did was I looked on Terapeak to see if any of these had been sold. I thought, I remember listing this, but it's been listed for a while. So I'm like, let me look on Terapeak just to make sure it somehow didn't get double listed. Well, in 3 years on Terapeak, only one of these had been sold, and it was my listing, the one that got sold Friday. So it was not an issue that somehow it was double listed and double sold. So I went through all of my bins a third time, and I went through all of the shelves everywhere. I've got a little shelf right here, just looking, really trying to find it, because I was just anticipating having to let this customer know I couldn't find it and getting another negative feedback. And even after all that, I still didn't find it. This is 100% the truth. I sat down and I'm like, I gotta let them know that I can't find it. And I was just kind of like dreading having to send that message to them. And I looked over at my ugly cabinet, which I've talked about before. It's just a cabinet that's ugly. When I was still married, we referred to it as the ugly cabinet because it's an old cabinet. It's functional, but it's ugly. And now I have eBay inventory in it. Oh, I forgot to mention an important point of the story. The reason I couldn't find it is because the custom SKU was empty. And that's gonna play into what I'm about to tell you. So I'm like, well, let me look in there. I got up, I looked in the ugly cabinet, and there it was. And I was thinking, why would it be in the ugly cabinet? This is something that would normally be in one of my bins. And then I remembered, late last year, I had this idea that I would list things, put them onto this little rolling shelf that I have, and I would roll the shelf to my bins, ugly cabinet, shelf, whatever, and I would put the item wherever I could fit it, and then I would just add the custom SKU in. Well, I found out really quickly I didn't like doing that because it took way more time. It's much quicker for me to already know where I'm going to put the item when I do the listing and just be done with it. Well, apparently this cable slipped through the cracks, and I put it in the ugly cabinet and I never added a custom SKU to it. But finally, it sold for $15 plus shipping. I took an offer on this. I think it was listed for maybe $17 or $18, and this came from the bin store, and I think it was $1. The next 3 items are all going to the same buyer. They ordered a dolphin trivet, a fish trivet, and they ordered some men's fitted tights, and the total for all these was $22.88. I know I had the trivets listed for about $5 and some change. I was looking and they paid a total of $16.14 in shipping. Now, typically, if someone doesn't specifically ask me about combining shipping, if they order 2 items and it's going to be just $1 or $2 difference, I don't refund them shipping. But this is only going 1 state away. And I mean, we're talking about, this may be maybe 2 pounds at the absolute most. And they paid $16.14 shipping. So I am going to refund them some shipping. I really appreciate when someone comes to my store, they buy something, they look around, they buy something else, and in this case, look around and buy something else. So because I really do appreciate them buying multiple items, I will give them a shipping refund. I sold a book, Give Yourself Credit, Money Doesn't Grow on Trees. I actually just listed this last night, and it sold for $12.95 plus shipping, and I got this from the bin store for either 50 cents or $1. Next, I sold a camera door mount. This is for Blink XT1, Arlo, and a couple other cameras. I took an offer on this for $5. I think it was only listed for $7 and something to begin with, plus shipping. I've got over 50 of these, so I only paid 50 cents for them. So I'm still making money even at $5. But these, I sold some, but they've been really slow. The other day, I actually tweaked the title for this listing. And when I was doing searches on eBay, I noticed before I tweaked it, I was coming up, you know, 7, 8, 9, 10 down on the list. But after I tweaked it, I started coming up #1. So hopefully the reason I got this sale is because I did a little work on the title, and maybe, you know, I'll get some more sales for these because I do want to move these things. I don't have much money into them, but I just have so many of them. Next, I sold a Blu-ray, Those Magnificent Men and Their Flying Machines 50th Anniversary Japanese Edition. From a little research, it looks like the words are in English, but it does have Japanese subtitles on it. And this sold for $13.95 plus shipping. I got it from the bin store for either 50 cents or $1. The next item is a Huggies pop-up baby wipes container. Now, this sold for $20.95. I got this, I don't know, a few weeks ago at an estate sale, and I was waiting to check out. Well, I wandered into the laundry room while I was waiting, because there wasn't a line, there was just a person in front of me. And I looked up on the shelf and I saw it. Now, I'm trying to get better about comping things that in the past I would have never looked twice at. Now, how many times do you see a baby wipes container and say, I need to comp that? Well, like I said, I'm trying to improve. I comped it and I found a sold comp for $25, I think. Yeah, empty baby wipes container, and it has the Cars picture on the front. So now it actually had some stuff in it. It had some like random stuff. It had an old cell phone, which is not worth anything, tweezers, some screws, some little screwdrivers, just junky stuff. And so I brought it up there and I'm like, how much for this? And they're like, the two girls looked at each other and like, I don't know. I said, hey, it has some junk in it, but I don't want the junk. I just want the container. This is one of my preferred estate sale companies, and there's a guy who works there. And he always jokes with me. He's like, nope, if you take the container, you got to take the junk. And I'm like, well, I'll take it. I'm just saying I don't want it. So they ended up just giving it to me. They didn't know how to price it. They didn't want to price it. They were just glad to have it out of there. So I don't have any money into that. And the last item that sold is a vintage topwater catfish feed mesh trucker's cap. As an overall, the cap is in really good shape. The only problem with it is that it is missing the foam out of it. And I purchased this at an estate sale. It was $5 fill-a-bag, and I stuffed a lot of caps in that bag. I probably put, I don't know, 17 or 18 caps in there. And I went and I cleaned them all up and got out, you know, any foam or anything that was coming apart. And I think this is the third one that I sold out of that bag. So I'm well into the profit on these. And this sold for $13.15 plus shipping. So I need to get these orders packed up because unfortunately I've got 2 jobs that I have to do this afternoon. It's already 2 o'clock. Typically I like to do my work earlier in the day when it's not quite so hot. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna check the temperature right now. Right now we have a temperature of 93 with a heat index of 108. So I try to do as much work as possible earlier in the day, but these 2 jobs were really close to each other, and one of them I have to do tonight. So that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. As always, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next video.